Okay, so we're gonna start with our base coat. What we're gonna do different here is we're going to mix our colors directly on the panel here. We're gonna just dump about half of this base coat white. I'm gonna put a little bit of the phthalo green right here in this upper corner here. The key is just get a little bit on the brush, not a lot, and start mixing to your desired intensity. I'm gonna get a little bit more in there. Then I'm gonna warm it up with a little bit of raw umber right here. Give it a nice earthy tone to it. Add a little bit more phthalo green, get a little richer. A little bit more. I think we're getting there, we're getting really close. If I want to make this just the hair greener, just add a dab of yellow. This should really pop this color. Yeah, there we go. Base coat works really well as a finish coat and like a gesso. It's on there pretty thick and you pretty much get the whole coverage done in one coat. We're gonna go back and accent this later on. I'm gonna paint the sides. And so on the Van Gogh painting, it's like a still life. It's a very simple still life, like this is a table. And this is where the deep, dark mustard yellow is. So we're gonna have to clean this off. Pull the excess water out. There's a little green in there, but it's not gonna matter. It's just a tiny bit. We're gonna make a little bit of that mustard yellow. Basically, we're gonna add a little bit of alizarin crimson, give it some reddish tone to it. Just a little bit of umber, a little bit of alizarin. We're gonna cross over this line and fill that. And again, this area too, we're gonna paint over later. We're gonna accent this area with some textures and colors, but this is the foundational color. Didn't quite make enough there. And so that's pretty much the foundation there. Now we're gonna do the vase. Very simple kind of ovally vase. It has like a point to it. Draw it out on here. Doesn't matter if it's better to start a little small, then you kind of build out around it and see once you get your shape. I'm gonna go out a little further. Just a little more raw umber in there. All this is gonna be covered, but if it peeks through, it'll be a good contrast and almost shading. So I'm just gonna keep pulling it out a little wider. Just trying to match those 2 points there. And that's pretty good right now for now. This needs to dry a little bit right here. So while this is drying, I'm gonna focus on where the flower compositions are gonna be. And I'm gonna use this brush and kind of say, okay, like there looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 flowers across the top, 1 green one, and then some bulbs. So these 5 across the top, I'm gonna go ahead and just use this to kind of lay out where the centers of the flowers are. We have 1 way up here on the top. And this will all be painted over. We have this one way over here on the side. Kind of fun where it kind of like falls over the side edge. We have this one here that kind of overlaps into this one. And we have this one out here, which is a forward facing one, swooping in. And then this one over here is gonna be a green one. And then here's gonna be the one that's hanging down on the side. I usually cut like a 3/4 inch-esque hole, doesn't matter, you don't want it too small, off the bag. We're gonna pipe out probably about half the bag, or a little more than half of the titanium white heavy texture. And this is gonna be our yellow foundation. So we're gonna do the yellow in a couple ways. We're gonna tint the white with the Hansa yellow here. A little bit of that raw umber got in there because it gives it a nice earthy tone to it. But don't get too much of it in there. I squeezed out about a third of the tube, maybe a quarter of the tube there, for us to just start working this blend here. Just keep blending until we get a nice tone of yellow. I think we're getting close. We're gonna do layers of darker and warmer yellows over the top, and that way it'll show contrast. So we have the yellow here. We're gonna use this pile of yellow with this right here. So I'm gonna add a little alizarin crimson here. We have some raw umber, just a tiny, tiny bit here. And we're gonna take about half of this pile of yellow and make it kind of a very warm orangey yellow. Just a tiny bit in there. You gotta be very careful and not put too much in there. See, now we have a nice warm yellow. And now we have a nice bright Hansa yellow just as it comes out of the tube there. So now we have 3 yellows. We've got the Hansa, the warm yellow with the alizarin crimson, and we have our base yellow. So this is the next part right here we gotta figure out here. So this is about how we use the knife, and this is how we function pretty much all the way through with the knife. This is how you hold the knife, by the way. My thumb here and my 2 fingers here, it allows me to flex this knife all around just like this. So it's a good practice to take your pile of paint and keep it in a nice tight pile. And just practice kind of troweling over it and smoothing it over. And you can see here the angle of the knife as I'm pushing over. If it was down, I don't want to go in. So it's almost like thinking like a plow. I'm just plowing over it. It's like this. And you need to practice that movement before you start mixing your yellow in. And I'll show you why. Because when you get the knife filled with paint, you want it on there as perfect as possible. And this is a key part to the way I paint with texture paint. See this right here? It's a nice smooth dollop of paint right here. Just keep practicing that over and over, because the smoother you get it on the knife, the better it's gonna go on here. So I just keep practicing these little twirls. Just keep practicing. Nice little smooth amounts of paint on there. To have these nice contrasted petals. So you just get a little bit of paint on the palette, just like this. And you're gonna spread it across the top, just like that. And so you see those nice variegated colors in the way they shine through to the lighter to the darker color. So do it one more time. So the key is here now, is to get a nice dollop. You can see now we've got all the colors of yellow, including the base yellow. We're gonna do our first petal up here. And we're gonna go ahead and let the petal go off the panel, because people like that. And we're gonna just repeat this step. This petal, pull back. What I'm doing here is I'm putting it on there, I'm barely pressing it. Like you can see there, that's about how much pressure, just the weight of that. And then I'm pulling back. And then I'm pulling back. And then I'm pulling back. You just keep doing that over and over. Sometimes clear your knife off, get a fresh bit of the yellow acrylic color there, glide it across the top, put it on the panel and pull it back. Just keep doing it over and over again. And the good thing about this is repetition that teaches you how to manage the knife. Now I'm gonna do a second layer. I'm gonna go in between each petal. When you see a Van Gogh painting, it's not this tight, it's very loose. And so I have no texture on my knife here. It's just the acrylic color. I'm gonna just do some dragging through with this color to give it a little bit of looseness and change that pattern just a little bit so it's not all so uniform, because Van Gogh doesn't paint in a uniform way like that. In the way, it's just a little bit more organic looking. So now, this is our first flower. We're gonna keep doing flowers. We're gonna take a little bit of this paint and push it to the side. Not the acrylic color here, just this. We're gonna mix the raw umber. And this is for the centers. You see how right now it has this kind of swirly, kind of fudgy look, we're gonna leave it like that because that's a really nice way. You look at this. It just has a nice organic look where it's all swirled up like that. So we don't mix it completely thoroughly so you can see those swirls. I'm gonna plop it in there. And take a little bit of that alizarin crimson and mix it with the raw umber. Swirl this around into here with a little bit of the alizarin and the brown. Just give it a nice swirl. And I kind of like that, you know. I'm not going to be exactly like a Van Gogh because this is an interpretation, and it's also working with a palette knife, and Van Gogh does not work with a palette knife. And so the next flower here is the interesting flower that kind of folds over to the side. So we need to clean our knife off. We need to clean the knife, and we're going to start with fresh yellow because we don't want brown on there. And this flower here has petals that leap over, like they're kind of falling over that way. So we're gonna make these petals first. Like every 3 or so strokes, I have to go back into the acrylic color to get that contrasting color in there. For my secondary ones, I'm going with a little looser pattern right there. You see how they pulled up like that? It's just gonna give it just a lot of dimension, which is kind of cool when you see that kind of popping up like that. I'm gonna put the center in and then add the next petals over. So these petals on this side are kind of erratic. They're not in a symmetrical form. There, I'm getting a few of the erratic ones in. And they're gonna pull in some of the ones that are leaning over. So I kind of need to get another one in there. I like that. I think that's a really nice erratic kind of flower that has a very Van Gogh-esque look with texture and a palette knife. And so this flower here is kind of leaning down a little bit. And so I'm going to do the petals coming down and the petals that are coming up like that last. See right here coming off the side, that's fine. This one's a little shorter because this is the one, because I'm gonna have some coming up over, and so these are longer, so it's gonna feel like it's coming up there. So we're gonna do another dollop. Add a little bit more raw umber, it's getting a little light there. A nice big old fat dollop in there. And I'm just gonna plop that in, because why not? I need those petals that are gonna swoop over the side. Clean off that brown, they're gonna swoop up. Pull up there just gave that a really dynamic look there. It gives it a very artisty feel of movement. The next flower, this one's kind of leaning over the side, and we're gonna pull this one over the edge, which I think is kind of cool. So all the petals are just on this back side, and then just the head or the center of the flower is kind of coming out there. We're gonna move this over to really over here. So I want a nice big dollop kind of coming over the side there. And I kind of like it has a little bit more yellow in it. And I kind of did that accidentally, but that's okay because this is just like organic painting. I needed a few petals kind of pulling over the side of that. A little sloppy there. Nice petal in there. Bring it back together. Okay, there's a big green kind of flower center that does not have the yellow petals, which is here. And there's a few green stems and a few random green places on this one and here. So we're gonna go ahead and make some green. We're gonna take some of the Hansa yellow. We're gonna keep this far away so we don't overdo it. We're gonna keep the phthalo green far away because we only want to pull a little bit out over here and start to turn this green. It's a very bright green. We're gonna pull some of this brown over here to earth out this green a little bit. Make it a little darker. A little bit more alizarin. See, I keep going a little at a time because I don't want to overdo it. A little bit more alizarin. Making a very, very warm green. A nice chartreuse there now. Now I could add a little bit more phthalo, darken it up a little bit. This is just throttling back and forth so you don't go overboard with the color and get it wrong. Okay, take some of that color and mix it into the white. Okay, so on this part here, it's like a big green bulb with just the center in there. And so it has the flower petals on the bottom, so I'm gonna do first, and then I'm gonna put the brown center in, and then do petals over the top, kind of like we did right there. So, kind of what we did before, you know, with the green, with the yellow. Practice that. Nice stroke right here. This kind of spreads through here. And we're gonna just put that on there. I'm gonna do that like 3 or 4 times. Nice thick dollops on this one. We need to make some more brown for the center. Steal over this yellow over there. Let's just, again, I like that right there. I'm gonna try and get that in here to just stay just like that. I like that, that's good. So I'm gonna come back into the green. Just do green petals over the top. It's really nice right there. Very organic looking. Now that we've got this one here, we're gonna go ahead and start, we're getting close to the vase and that this is dry now. We're gonna go ahead and start coloring the vase. So the vase is a little lighter color than the flowers. Put some white there and just make this a very light yellow here. So it stands in contrast to the rest of the flowers. And I'm just gonna, and on the vase it's split. It's split right around here. So it's like a darker warm color here, like a darker brown, and then the yellow color here. And I'm gonna try and leave a little bit of the outline showing. So I'm gonna spread this knife. This all part will be covered, so don't worry about that. But I kind of like how the brown is showing around the outside edge there. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more white and accentuate this a little bit stronger on the vase and give it some texture. Oh, so that's good right there. To me, that's really nice. And I like that some of the brown still shows through. And so the bottom is more of this kind of brownish color, but it's not super dark like there. So I'm gonna take some of this light in the brown right here. And again, I'm gonna fill the bottom right here. So, nice line there. A little bit darker on the bottom. And since it went over there, I'm just gonna use my finger and clean that part off. Looks like I need to get a little bit more yellow in there. A little bit more brown. Just keep working it till it looks right. I'm gonna clean this up with a brush a little bit right here. Just to clean that line up there and right here. Okay, we're gonna cover all this, so it's okay. The next thing is there's just got this one lone flower coming down here, and it has green in it, and the petals are shooting upwards. So we're gonna take the green and make these petals shooting upward. It's almost the same as doing the flower petals, pretty much the same. This is like a small sunflower, so then I'm gonna put a dollop of yellow there and then pull some strands of yellow coming out of that dollop. I'm gonna take this yellow here. I'm trying to get it more on the tip of the knife because I don't want it too fat, too wide. And so I'm gonna put that there, which is working out good. Put some more yellow on here. Just kind of like make these impressionistic, so these little impressions of these little flower petals. This is like a little tiny sunflower. So I think that's pretty good. There's some green coming in through here like stems. I'm gonna use a palette knife, but I'm not gonna do it flat like this. I'm gonna kind of do it on its side. So we're only getting a little bit of the paint there. See how that's just a nice thinner line than as opposed to if you went down like that. So you don't want to go like this. You just want to get it on the side. And then there's a stem that comes up from here. And so we're going to go up and over. The next part is there's these bulbous centers of the flowers. I think there's 4 of them in there. We're gonna fit however many looks right in here. We might not. Push this green a little bit out of the way here. Some more white down in here. Some more yellow. And so we're gonna make these more abstract than the rest of the flowers. And it shows these just bulb centers. I'm gonna load this knife up with a nice amount of paint right here. And I'm gonna try and make a nice swirl. I'm gonna do this one first. This one's kind of pointing down, so it's not gonna be as round. And so if you'll be able to see it when you come around this side, that it's not gonna show the full roundness of it. But you can see the texture of it. I'll just show you right there. You can kind of just see the way it's layering on that right there. And the next one will kind of swoop over it right there. There's a big bulb here. I'm gonna go ahead and set this green right here and do yellow right over the top of it. because it has a green center. And if you had all yellow, it's okay. I'm just trying to use that green up there. And I'm gonna take this yellow and swirl over the top of it, and you'll barely know it was green, but we're gonna open up the green center. So here we go. We're just gonna spread it around there. Just like that. Very nice. And we're just gonna open up the center. Now, you see on the Van Gogh, it has a green center, and now we have opened up that center there. I'm gonna do the same thing on this one up here. Make a nice circle. So I'm gonna make this yellow a little warmer now. Get some nice contrast going. A little bit of that alizarin in there. Nice warm yellow going. We're gonna just swirl that and cover the whole entire top. Nice. And this one again has a green center. And there's another one right here. So I'm gonna get some of this nice warm yellow. Make a nice swirl on this one. This one's kind of leaning down, so I'm gonna swirl it down and bring it around here. Nice. Give this one a nice dark center there. Looks pretty good to me. So that's pretty much it on the flowers right here. You can go in and look at it and you can check these out and make sure, you know, if they need a little bit of extra attention or color contrast. I can come in here on this one and do a little couple pulls of orangey yellow in there, and I'm just using the tip right here to get this petally feel here. All right, so this is where we go ahead and just kind of work on the background a little bit. It's this warm mustardy yellow. So we're gonna take some of the yellow we have left over here. We're gonna add some of the raw umber in here. Brush it in on the bottom. It's very simple. We're gonna create this just very simple horizontal pattern. Starting at the vase. Every once in a while, I'll pull a deeper yellow accent in there. I'm getting this loaded up pretty good with paint right here. I'm dragging it across. It has a nice textural feel to it. This one I'm gonna drag all the way across, right underneath. Feel pretty good about that. So now we're gonna do the same with the background here with turquoise. I'm gonna clear a space on the palette here. Take the last bit of white we have in here. Gonna move this turquoise way over here so we don't mess it up. We're gonna try and match this color here with the texture. So we're gonna pull a little bit of the turquoise in, just a little bit at first. It's okay if we get some of the background in because it kind of warms it up. So obviously that's light. So I'm gonna add some of that umber in there. A little bit more. Getting close. A little bit more umber. It doesn't have to match exactly. You don't want it to match exactly, but you want it close. This is gonna dry a little darker, so I'm gonna make this, but it still needs to be just a hair darker. I'm just gonna pull a little bit more of that umber mix from over here. Tiny bit of alizarin in there, that's okay. Just a little bit more turquoise, or phthalo green. I'm just gonna take the turquoise color now, maybe with the phthalo green, and just kind of fill in the spaces around it. And it's okay if the background shines through a little bit. Give it just a little bit of contrast and texture. Not a lot. You still want this to kind of shine through the most. It just gives it a little bit of a nice hand feel to the background. So right here, I'm just sliding under. That's the good thing about the knife. I can kind of slide under things right there. And it's okay if it picks up other colors because it gives it a very natural look. And I'm not gonna do this too thick because I want the texture of the flowers to really stand out. I don't want the texture of the background to steal the thunder of the flowers. So I'm gonna hit the same texture on the sides. Okay, so we're almost done. On this line transition here between the wall and the table, or the background and the table, there's a dark line. I'm gonna use this alizarin crimson here. And I only wanted just the edge of the knife to hit it. Make a nice hairline there. I think I'm gonna go ahead and pull. I think it's just for fun. Extra credit, don't have to do this. Just a little bit of that down on the bottom there to give it some color. I'm gonna give it a little bit of, just some contrast there. You don't need to do that part. But there you have it, there's your sunflower painted by Van Gogh, or by you.